Hello and welcome, and in today's video I am going to be talking about self-confidence. What is self-confidence? It comes from a Latin word, confidere or fidere, technically, and it means to have full trust or to trust. And self-confidence means that you fully trust in yourself, in your abilities, in your judgments, in yourself. And why is it good to have high self-confidence? Well, apart from the obvious, it makes your life totally so much easier.
All it takes is faith and trust.
Then it's also good to kind of get over some negative emotions like fear or nervous tension you might have especially when you're around people, especially when these people are hot. And then also when you are anxious. With all these feelings, self-confidence can really help you. And this is like this superpower you can have, but not tattooed on your chest or anything. A lot of people think that they actually do have high self-confidence, when in reality their self-confidence is totally fragile, and what they need is just a little bit of like a push and it just bursts. So what does it mean to have high self-confidence? It means that you are centered and grounded in yourself. If you enter a room, you're just gonna feel good. You're not gonna need anybody's approval. No matter who is sitting there, you're not going to enter the room like a low self-confidence person would do, and they would wait for people for approval. Oh yeah, it's like you are needy, and you put this expectation on others. You don't even know them, and you already need and want something from them. And also, even if they gave you the approval, if you have low self-confidence, it wouldn't help you. Imagine someone tells you, well, you did really nice work, and what they do is they try to put you on a pedestal, sort of. But if you have low self-confidence and you are somewhere here, you feel really low, and somebody puts you up, it doesn't feel natural to you somehow. It feels totally unnatural, totally. So you want to keep yourself being low. And so what you do is that you reply to them something like, oh, it was nothing. You take their appraisal and you drag it down to your level. Or you say something like, anybody can do it. With social medias, if you put on the social media something that is really polished and really beautiful and photoshopped picture of yourself, and then you wait for beautiful comments and you get them, you're still not gonna feel good about it. Even though a lot of people think that this actually works, it never works. The second the first negative comment comes, you're gonna be obsessing about it. And that's what brings me to my next point. You're also very sensitive to criticism. You feel like since other people have this power over you, if they tell you something negative, they will drag you down immediately. And so you are trying to cover up your mistakes. Don't you? When in reality, you are not perfect at all. But if you were self-confident, you would know that you have good side and bad side, and you can embrace it and be this integrated whole human being who knows that mistakes are just part of him, and he can learn from that and take a more mature approach towards mistakes. That brings me to my last point overall, and that is how you can actually develop self-confidence. Well, funny you should ask, although you didn't ask, but there are two ways. First one is on the cognitive layer, and the second one is behavioral. If you're gonna be working on your inner level, I would ask myself, why do I have low self-confidence in the first place? And it's not as obvious as you might think. You might have low self-confidence in some areas of your life and higher in other areas. So it's worth examining it. Also, maybe you picked up on it in childhood, maybe in school. You have no idea where it came from. I have an amazing video for this. This is called Contemplation technique, and I will leave a link for it down below. If you want some technique how to work with yourself and ask yourself questions so you can get deeper to the issue. Also, what helps a lot is to understand that everybody has good side to them and bad side to them. If you have negative self-image, it would help you to get to know yourself better. If you have negative self-image, it means that you are biased. You don't see your positive side. Maybe you think you don't have any, but that's not true. You do have it. Maybe it's buried really deep down inside, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. It is. You just have to dig a little bit. Maybe a bit more, get a little dirty, you know what I'm saying? I hope you don't. When you do this, you will discover some of your positive aspects, and if you don't, You can think for yourself, what are some beautiful, nice, positive things that others told me in the past? Maybe they gave you compliments, so now would be the time to bring them back to life. I'm sure you remember them. This is how you can integrate yourself more fully and understand that indeed you have good side and bad side and you can integrate it. And that's like more realistic look at yourself than just seeing the negative. And then when you're gonna be much more, easygoing, self-confident, you can go to the behavior level and do these behavioral experiments. I have 2 ideas for you. One is way less scary than the second one, but I even did the second one, so I can speak from my personal experience. And so the first one is that you actually try to do something selfless and nice for other people. For example, I personally was going down the street and there was this street artist and she was playing violin and singing Moon River. And it was just breathtakingly beautiful. I just loved it so much, so I gave her a lot of money. Actually, I gave her all the money I had on myself and I complimented her. I told her, this is so beautiful. And she was like, thank you. And she smiled. And since this moment, I felt so great. I felt so good about myself. Nothing that day could throw me off my balance. And I think this is actually a surprising byproduct of being selfless, you could say, is that you actually gain self-confidence, at least for that day. But anyway, if you do this, at least you're gonna have one item to put on your list, of your positive aspects. I'm not saying that you should be doing nice, selfless things only to boost your self-confidence. I'm just saying that it's just one way how you can think of that. Being selfless also means that you are gonna feel nicer, not only in general, but also towards yourself. And that brings me to my second experiment. It's much more scary. It's experiments like standing up and doing something, like speaking up in your business meeting where you wouldn't normally speak up, or in class, or speaking and giving speech in front of an audience, something like that. The problem with this is that, yes, on one hand, it's the quickest way how you can boost self-confidence if you do the things that you are most afraid of. However, and this is my own personal experience, in the past, there was a time where I had to give a speech in front of people every 3 weeks or so, or every month. And in that time, in the past, I got really used to it. I was so smooth. I would just enter the room and I was like, yeah, I got this. I'm not nervous anymore. It's fine. However, that was a couple years ago. And today, since I'm not doing it anymore, if I was now about to give a speech in front of an audience, I would be freaking out. AF. And so I know that the effects of this behavioral experiment didn't last. I would have to do them repeatedly at least once in a while to keep it. It's the same principle if you try to learn a foreign language in 1 month. In couple months, you're not gonna remember anything if you're just not gonna use it. The same thing applies when you're trying to lose your weight too quickly. It's just not gonna stick and you're gonna gain it really quickly back again. And the problem with that was that I didn't, back then, when I was giving these speeches, I didn't fully integrate the inner state which I had with the outer performance which I made. If I worked a little bit on my internal self-confidence and then I did these behavioral changes, maybe it would last longer. That's why I'm proposing to don't do only one or the other. This, what I just told you, is not like a magic pill. It just means that if you are at a 0 and the ideal would be 100, you can just move up. It's always better to have self-confidence at 50% than at 0. Try to build it up in a stable way. So yeah, that's everything from me. Have a beautiful now, and I will see you next time with my next video. Bye.